withdrawal from Syria and issued a strong rebuke of the Obama administration's Middle East strategy. During a major foreign policy address in Egypt on Thursday, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo defended the U.S. While the secretary challenged Middle Eastern countries to take on new responsibilities in the fight against extremism, he failed to call out human rights abuses in places like Egypt and Saudi Arabia and did not mention the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. During his speech at the American University in Cairo, Pompeo declared that America will not retreat until the terror fight is over, but acknowledged that President Donald Trump has made the decision to bring our troops home from Syria. More, Pompeo makes surprise visit to Baghdad and Erbil to reassure Iraqi officials on U.S. Syria withdrawal. "We always do and now is the time. But this isn't a change of mission," he said. "We remain committed to the complete dismantling of the ISIS threat and the ongoing fight against radical Islamism in all of its forms." Pompeo's address came one day after his surprise visit to Iraq and in the midst of a whirlwind tour of the Middle East in which he is reassuring partners of America's presence in the region following Trump's decision 3 weeks ago to withdraw troops from Syria. U.S. More, Pentagon defends Syria withdrawal as deliberate, well thought out, mutually supportive and controlled. In a tweet, what was originally a 30-day timeline for withdrawal gradually grew to several months. But now Pompeo and National Security Advisor John Bolton are stating that any withdrawal is conditions-based, including the enduring defeat of ISIS, protection for America's Kurdish partners, and the assurance that Iran will not increase its influence in the region. Speaking to reporters before his speech on Thursday, Pompeo said that any contradiction in the administration's Syria policy has been made up by the media. Amr Nabilab Secretary of State Mike Pompeo gives a speech at the American University in Cairo, January 10, 2019. The secretary began his address in Cairo by blasting the Obama administration for falsely seeing ourselves as a force for what ails the Middle East. So today, what did we learn from all of this? We learned that when America retreats, chaos follows. And when we partner with our enemies, they advance, he said. When we neglect our friends, resentment builds. The good news is this: the age of self-inflicted American shame is over, and so are the policies that produced so much needless suffering. Now comes the real new beginning. In a statement, the National Security Action Group, an advocacy organization made up of former Obama administration officials, responded to Pompeo's criticism, writing that this administration feels the need, nearly a decade later, to take potshots at an effort to identify common ground between the Arab world and the West speaks not only to the Trump administration's pettiness, but also to its lack of a strategic vision for America's role in the region and its abdication of America's values. More, U.S. and Turkey at odds over U.S. withdrawal from Syria, as Erdogan refuses sit down with Bolton. Pompeo also praised the Trump administration's decision to leave the Iran nuclear deal, saying we will not ease our campaign to stop Iran's malevolent influence and actions against this region and the world. That includes Syria. Pompeo downplayed the idea that the withdrawal of U.S. where Iran has had a growing role in supporting the Syrian regime, forces from Syria would give Iran the upper hand there, saying that, in Syria, the United States will use diplomacy and work with our partners to expel every last Iranian boot, and work through the United Nations-led process to bring peace and stability to the long-suffering Syrian people. Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif responded on Twitter, saying, wherever U.S. interferes, chaos, repression and resentment follow. The day Iran mimics U.S. clients and Secretary Pompeo's human rights models, be it the Shah or current butchers, to become a normal country is the day hell freezes over. Best for the U.S. to just get over loss of Iran. Wherever U.S. interferes, chaos, repression and resentment follow. The day Iran mimics U.S. clients and etc. Pompeo's human rights models, be it the Shah or current butchers, to become a normal country is the day hell freezes over. Best for the U.S. to just get over loss of Iran. Javad Zarif, ed. January 10, 2019. Pompeo declined to call out human rights abuses happening in Egypt, including the reported detention and torture of American Egyptian Khaled Hassan, who has been missing since last January, allegations Cairo denies. During his address, The secretary applauded Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's efforts to promote religious freedom and encouraged him to unleash the creative energies of Egypt's people, unfetter the economy, and promote a free and open exchange of ideas. The State Department did say that the issue of human rights was brought up in Pompeo's private meeting with Sisi earlier in the day. Andrew Caballero Reynolds Poole via AP, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo second right, and his wife Susan Wright, is welcomed by U.S. Ambassador to Iraq Douglas Silliman, second left, as they arrive in Baghdad, Iraq during a Middle East tour, January 9, 2019. Also noticeably absent from Thursday's address was the mention of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, brutally murdered at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul in October. Support to the Saudi-led coalition fighting in Yemen, as well as condemn Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for the act. Senate to vote to suspend U.S. The killing led the U.S. While the Trump administration has sanctioned Saudi officials for their alleged role in the murder, Trump has continued to defend Saudi leadership, with stops already in Jordan, Iraq, and Egypt. Pompeo will continue his tour of the Middle East on Friday with planned visits to Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Kuwait. ABC News' Connor Finnegan contributed to this report.